Hey guys, it's Steve, and welcome to another Blender tutorial. Now, formerly I have gone by Blender Steve on YouTube, but I have now changed my name over to CG Geek. So the reason for that is I liked Blender Steve, but there was a few reasons why it would not work for me in the long run. I have some plans maybe for a website in the future and such, and CG Geek will just work a lot better in situations like that. So yes. Blender Steve is now known as CG Geek. So let's get into our tutorial today. Today I'm doing explosions. That's right, we're doing some explosions in Blender using the smoke sim and a few particle systems and whatnot. It should be a lot of fun. We'll be using cycles and yeah, let's just jump in and have some fun. So I'm going to start off by using my default cube here as the domain object for my smoke. So basically, if you're going to be using smoke in Blender, you're going to need a domain object. That's basically an area where the smoke will take place inside of. So this is going to be where the smoke is put, basically. So I'm just going to go tab into edit mode and drag my cube up, holding control so it pops right onto the grid there. So that's good. Now if I tab out of edit mode by hitting tab, scale up a little bit, I can now make my domain object much bigger. And I'm just going to go to like a 3 or 4, maybe scale to a 3. Perfect. Good and good. So I'm going to hit Z to go into wireframe now. And I'm going to start adding in some objects to emit particles. So I'm going to start by adding a icosphere. And you see you get that there. That's good. Hit tab, and I'm going to hit B to box select and select the bottom half of these vertices. Hit X and delete vertices. So I'm stuck with just that. Now I'm going to hit A to select it, scale it down a little bit like so. Maybe scale it up a little bit along the Z axis by just hitting S and Z. There we go. Perfect. I can hit tab to go back to object mode. Alright, so that is good for our particles. Now let's start simulating some particles. But before I get into the particle system, I need to make a few objects to emit. So basically, I'm going to start with adding some debris to come like shooting out in every direction, because no explosion is without debris. So to make some of this debris, I'm just going to move over here somewhere off my domain object, hit Shift A, add in just a basic cube. I use a cube for this. You can hit Z and go back to a solid view. I'm going to scale it down along the Z with S and Z. Then I'm going to hit tab and do the same thing I did before. Well, you know what? I don't have to do that. I'm just going to drag it up like that. And then maybe scale it along the Y by S and Y. There we go. This one is just going to be kind of a brick. So scale on the X then too. And S and X a little more. That's good. That's not bad. That should work okay. So it's pretty basic, pretty small, just a basic brick-like shape for that. Now I'm going to add a little bit more detailed of debris by adding in a plane, scaling it down, hitting tab, and then hitting Control R. I can put some edge loops in, and you can see you get those purple lines, and that's where you'll have vertice cuts basically in your plane. So I'm going to go with 3. Just click, right click, and or left click, and that will do that. Scale along the X a little bit, and then if I switch to vertice select down here, I can just grab some of these and scale them in a little bit, and then like pull them in, just kind of giving it like a rough, broken board type of shape. So this is looking pretty good. Maybe pull this one down a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of like a shard of wood maybe. Now I'm just going to select everything, hit E to extrude along the Z axis a little bit. Z, there we go. And give it a little bit of thickness. That's good. And I can just duplicate that and make a little bit of a variation on that. So I'm just going to grab these. Whoop. If you want to be able to select things that you cannot see, you click this button right here, and you can select vertices that you cannot view. Now you can see that's selected them. So that's what I want to do. Just scale that down a little bit. Maybe pull some of these out a bit, making it look pretty random. Yeah, that's not bad. And maybe pull this ways. pull you back more. Anything goes in this kind of situation. It's debris. It doesn't have to look good, you know. That's the thing about making an explosion. It can never look bad because an explosion is actually not a real beautiful looking perfect thing. The beauty in it is how unperfect it is. So there we go. A little bit of a variation there. And that should be all I need. Scale this up a little bit to kind of match. Now I'm going to hit B and select all three of these. Hit Control G, and we're going to make a group. Now you can name this group over here. Just going to name it Rubble. You can name it whatever you want. Alright, that should work good. So now with our particle system, I'm just going to hit Z so I can see it inside my cube again. Select it, go to our particle settings, go New Particle System. Alright, now I want these particles to only emit basically from the beginning 10 seconds, I'd say, of my animation here. Or maybe even less, maybe just 6 or 7, because basically it shoots out right away, and that's going to be the main time when you'd have debris flying. So I'm going to put the start at 1, and I'm going to put the end at like a 6. Alright, now we only need like 50 to 60 pieces of debris of this size. So I'm going to turn that down to about 55 particles. And I'm going to turn the emitter geometry right here, the normal, and turn this up to about a 6, and we'll see how that looks. So just playing the animation through, you can see you get that. It's not terrible, but it's definitely not what we want yet. I'm gonna change the end time of my timeline here to be something more like 50 for now, because I'm not going to be rendering a whole lot of explosion for this tutorial. Alright, so let's fix this up a little bit. I want it to shoot up a little bit more. So in my emitter object here, I can go to the Z value and make that like a -5. Now if we play this through, you can see, whoop, that's the wrong way. +5 is what I want. So boom, that's much better. That's much more of what I'm looking for. I might be able to turn the values down just a little bit, go for a 4 and a 5 there or something. Alright, now let's add a little bit more randomness to that. To do this, we'll use Brownian motion. This will give it some erratic particle movement. That's what we want. So let's go like a 6 with that, and that'll help randomize it a little bit. And that's looking pretty good. Let's make these particles our debris now. By doing that, we're going to choose the render down here. We're going to choose group. I'm going to choose the group we made, rubble. And now you see it's all those pieces of rubble we made. We can make them a lot bigger though. So let's turn the scale up a little bit, and there you go. You're getting our pieces shooting out. Kind of not how we want yet, but that's okay. We can fix that. Put some random size on that as well. Always looks good. Alright, so these need to be rotated more. So what are we going to do? We're going to choose rotation. Right here, check that box. And now you'll see we're getting a little bit of rotation going, but not as much as we want. So let's turn the random amount up and see what we get. Turn it up some more. Yes, that's much better. We get some random shooting motion, but they're not really spinning like they would be realistically. So I'm going to choose dynamic and then give it some velocity here. And there we go. Now we're getting some nice spinning debris flying out of our particle system, and that looks great. Happy about that. That's good. So let's just leave that like so, and maybe have it shoot upwards a little bit more. I can always make my domain object a little bit bigger if I need to, so I might just scale it up a little bit bigger, but should be good. So let's add in our next emitter. We need to texture these two, but we can do that later. So I'm just going to go Shift S, cursor to center. Whoops, Shift S, cursor to center. Puts our 3D cursor right at the middle there. I'm going to Shift A, add in another icosphere. Icospheres work well for this, I find. So now I'm going to hit Tab, delete the bottom section again. Like, whoops, X, delete vertices. Now I can scale this one down a little bit along the Z. So tap out of edit mode and then scale on the Z. There we go. That's pretty nice. This will be our main like mushroom cloud, I'm thinking. So this one will be our smoke mushroom cloud. And then we just want, that's good. You know what? Why don't we do this? I was gonna do this later, but let's do it now. I'm going to animate this a little bit. So I want it to start off small, like about that size. Gonna hit I, insert scaling. Now I'm gonna jump like, ooh, let's go 13 frames in and scale it way up and raise it up a little bit like that. Yeah, something like that, kind of matching the debris there. And insert scaling. So there we go. Oh, I need to also insert location if I'm gonna be moving it. So drag it back down there, insert location, then drag it back up here and insert location. There we go. Boom. That's perfect. And just with the cursor still at the center, let's just add one more third and final icosphere. Do the same thing with deleting the bottom half of it because we don't need it emitting downward like that. Delete you. And whoops, I'm hitting faces. I want to hit vertices. Alright, that's good. Tab out of edit mode. Place it right around there, and that should be all we need. Now this is going to be some basically emitting smoke. This will be a particle system, so I can go ahead and make a new particle system, but it's just going to be for smoke, kind of shooting it out in a quick manner, just randomly about. So it's only going to last probably, I'm going to think 6 frames, and the lifetime too, only about 6, I believe. Well, maybe the lifetime can go longer. Nope, only 6. And so we get this when we play it. Boom, just a tiny bit of a shootout type of look. So let's turn the emitter up on that. See what we get. Boom, that's good. I don't know why we're getting those other vertices, or not vertices, but particles appearing there. I don't think that's actually going to render anything. Alright, so I think we're ready to start with our smoke sim. Exciting. Here we go. So selecting our domain first, we're going to click our physics tab and click smoke. And then click domain. So now this is our domain object. And now if we take, say, our mushroom cloud one, the animated sphere, we could just call this one mushroom, just so it's a little less confusing. Alright, hit N and T to close up our toolbars and stuff. We don't need that right now. And this will be smoke flow. Alright, and we want it to stay as a mesh. So now if we just zoom out and start playing this, you'll see we get, boom, a mushroom cloud. Doesn't look great yet, but it's smoke, and that's exciting. So we got our mushroom cloud, and it's moving kind of slow, and it's looking kind of bad, but besides that, it's looking great. Alright, so the volume here, I'm going to turn the surface all the way down. Surface goes to nothing, and now if I play this, you get nothing, but I'm going to turn the volume now up to like a 1, and you'll see, boom, you get that kind of effect. So just a little bit different, but it seems to like trail a little bit more than if I did surface at 1 and volume at nothing. You do it and you get that. Well, they both would work. Surface or volume, you can go either. I'll just leave it at surface for now. Now I'm going to be animating this though to be the go with the scale. So basically it's going to start off at like a 1.5. We'll hit I to insert a keyframe, and then by 13 frames we want nothing. Alright, so if we play this through, we get boom, and then it just kind of drifts like that. That's good. It doesn't look great yet, but it's good. It's getting there. So let's go ahead and add our smoke sim to our particles, not our debris, but our particles. So we'll go smoke, and we'll go flow, but this time we'll choose particle system, and then in the drop down box here, select particle system. And let's try this out. We'll see what we get. Boom. That's not looking terrible. I mean, it's not great yet, again, but it's getting there. My smoke is rising too slow though. So to adjust that, we will go to our domain and change some of these risings values. This one says higher values result in faster rising smoke. It's the temperature difference. So if we make this like a 0.3 or 4, you should see faster rising smoke, and that's kind of cool. Not exactly what we want, but kind of cool. I also want our smoke to dissolve after time, so I'm going to choose dissolve here, and that's way too fast, but I'm going to go 40, should be about a proper amount. That shouldn't be too bad. Maybe 45, doesn't really matter. Now, density will also affect how fast your smoke rises. So I'm going to go 0.1, and we'll see what that looks like. Boom. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. We're getting kind of a cool mushroom cloud right there, but it's looking pretty even and pretty symmetrical and plain. So what I'm going to do is kind of break that up with a texture. And you might be asking, how do you do that? Well, lucky I'm here to show you. So with my mushroom cloud selected, I'm going to click the drop down for Smoke Flow Advanced, click Use Texture, and then you have a texture drop down here. There's already a texture made. So if we click to our texture tab over here, we can go, well, we gotta make a new one, I guess. Just click New, and I'm going to choose Veroni. This is kind of a cool crackled look, and you have some, well, hang on, maybe not Veroni, maybe clouds would be better, and we can just choose Veroni here. Yes, I believe this is what I did. This looks good. And choose like a Veroni crackle. Just kind of seeing my options here real quick, and I'll probably choose, ooh, that one looks good. Veroni F2, F1. Make the scale a little bit bigger. Give us some more, keep the depth low. Keep the depth at like a 2. Alright. So now, if we put this into our physics, our texture there, now if we play this through, let's see what we get. Boom. You can definitely see in the beginning there, especially, I believe, a little bit of variation. Not as much as I would like. So let's try turning the size up. Let's see if we get anything different going on there. Maybe a little bit, and still not as much as I'd like, but a little bit more variation going on there. What if I just went with a huge number like 10, and you can see that's kind of adding some different motion in there, which is kind of cool. And you can also just play with different textures and sizes and get different effects. So let me see what that looks like. That looks a little bad. Give it a smaller size. And, you know, this is something that just adds, maybe if I choose hard. Ooh, that's kind of doesn't look a whole lot different. But this is just a way to get a little bit more detail, I found, in my explosion. So I did it. Offset, I don't need to do that. Okay, that's all we need to do. Maybe turn the size back down to a smaller number. Alright, just a little variation in there is all. And that's not too bad. Okay, so let's get into some more domain settings. I'm going to choose Smoke Adaptive Domain. This will basically render a little faster because the domain object will basically change the size depending on the explosion inside your domain, and just helps things move a little quicker. So that's good. Now, it's moving a little fast now. I mean, it's moving realistic, but it's still a little fast and looks like a smaller explosion than I'm looking for. So I'm going to change the time scale here down to like a 0.4. And you see, you just get, it's a little bit slow still, but it's definitely getting more of what I'm looking for. You can raise the temperature difference here to have the smoke rising faster, but it's a little too slow. Let's go 0.6. Yeah, something like that looks pretty cool. Not bad. So let's add the smoke on the debris. Basically, I want my debris, it's a little small. Maybe I'll make it just a little bit bigger. I want my debris to be basically trailing with smoke, like it's on fire and there's smoke flying from it. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, and let's add some smoke to it. So all we have to do is our physics tab, choose smoke, and choose flow, and particle system, and particle system. And something I didn't do on this particle, or both these, is initial velocity. That's something you want to check for explosions. Let me do that in this one too. Wait. Okay, yeah, right here. Initial velocity. You want to check that on pretty much all of your explosion things, because that works well for explosions. So you can see that's what I was missing, that little bit of poof. That's perfect. Alright, so I can make the scale a little bit smaller, I think, now. So just scale it down and insert scaling. So choose initial velocity and you'll get some very cool results. Like that. It's still a little bit big, I think, my scaling here. So I'll probably just scale it down a little bit. And then maybe the particle lifetime here on this one would help go if it was a little bit smaller. It's just shooting out a little too far right now. Oh, and on this particle system too, the short one that just gives the smoke a little burst, you can give this some randomness too. Give it like a 6 there and maybe like a 3 there or something, just to give it some random speeds, and that'll help a little bit. Whew. I think I have too many particles on this one too. Let me just drop that one down to 250 and see how that looks. Boom. Ooh, not bad. Not bad at all. I think I need to make my domain a little bit bigger. You want to avoid making your domain bigger if you can, but in this case I think it would look better if it was a little bit bigger. So I just did S and then scaled on the Shift Z to make the base bigger but not the height, basically. So now we get that. Very cool. You can see our debris has smoke trails following it, and things are looking better. Now let's get into the fun part of adding some flame. And this one looks a lot cooler in the viewport. All you gotta do is on my, where is it? Here. My flow type, I'm gonna choose fire and smoke. And I'm gonna do this to pretty much all of them. Fire and smoke. And all 3 emitters. That one too. Fire and smoke. Now you can change the flame rate here. I'm not really quite sure what that does. But, oh, initial velocity on that one too. Definitely. Okay. So make sure initial velocity is checked on all of your frames. And some subframes here will also give you some nicer results in the sampling if you want to do that. It might slow you down just a little bit though, so keep that in mind. Now let's see what this is looking like. Whew, that looks like a firework. Alright, so things are looking cool, but moving a little too fast. So I think I'm going to, with that initial velocity, things are just taking off. So I'm going to do what I did before now and turn my time scale down to like a 0.3. It's just moving a little too fast for my liking. Whew, there we go. And that's looking better. Much better, much happier with that now. Maybe time dissolve, turn that down a little bit. Ooh, very good, very good. So there is our base explosion. Things aren't looking bad, things are looking pretty good. It's very, very low quality right now though. So I think I'm ready. I think I have too much debris actually. Let me quick change that. Yeah, this one. Let's turn the debris down to just like 30 pieces of debris, and they can be a little bit bigger still. Where's my size? Right here. We'll just go 0.2. Maybe a little bit bigger still. 0.25. Alright. So I think I'm ready to bake this at a higher quality. So you see what I get there, and that's pretty good. But it could be, it's basically just a preview of what it will be when it's rendered out at a high quality. So I'll show you the settings to do that, and then I'll bake it, and it will probably take a little while, so I'll probably have to make a cut there. But basically, in your cache, you're going to start off by setting your, hang on, let me see. Okay, basically your cache is where you're going to do your baking from, and you want to select your domain for the smoke baking, obviously, and then smoke cache. You can put your start and end. I'm just going to bake 50 frames. So I'm going to go 50. Now I'm going to turn the quality up on the smoke. So for my final result that you saw at the beginning of the video, I had, I think, 120 divisions and 5 on the smoke high resolution here. Now you can check smoke high resolution right there. Now that took quite a long time to render, or bake I should say, quite a long time to bake. So I'm not going to do that for the tutorial, but I will crank this up to, let's say, a 90, and then I'll go 3 divisions, and I think that would be a good amount for the tutorial. Probably take 5 or so minutes to bake. Maybe I'll go 100 divisions just to get a little nicer quality. And so you have your smoke high resolution, you're set to 3, and you get your divisions at 100, and I think that should be it. I think we're ready to bake. So without further ado, let's scroll down to our smoke cache and click bake. We you get this little timer showing up on your mouse, and that will show you the progress, basically. It's 2 frames into it, basically, because it's at 4, and it'll go all the way to 100. And I have 50 frames to bake. So, I'll pause recording and catch up with you guys once this is baked. Alright, and the bake finished, but I missed a few settings. So, if I jump into like frame 25, you can see we got some cool looking explosion effects. These trails, smoke trails, are looking pretty cool, and yeah, just a kind of a cool looking explosion, except there's a little bit lacking from it. And one of the issues is my center part doesn't really look like it's big enough, my center mushroom, which I'll have to make that a little bigger. And then also, well, first off, the bake took like 2 hours, so that's too high for this right now, so I'm going to have to lower the quality of the bake explosion down a little bit, and maybe turn down the amount of debris. But besides that, it's looking pretty good. So, without further ado, let me just kind of fix this up. Another setting I missed is on my main explosion, I want to turn absolute density off. Alright, and I'll give it a few subframes too, and that should be good. Also with my particle emitter, not the debris but the other one, right here, I want to turn off absolute density, and a few subframes too would help. I'm also going to turn the set size here up a little bit. This basically allows me to control the size of the smoke, of the particles coming off of this. So I'm going to go up to 2 in this one, just to look a little bit better, I think. Alright, so let me jump to the beginning. Let me turn down the quality of my smoke sim a little bit. So I'm just going to free bake. And, well, maybe I'll start without rendering so many frames. I don't think I need that many frames. I probably can go to like 35 and be fine. So go 35, and then I'll just lower this down to like, maybe I'll go down to just 2 divisions. That would be good. And that should do it. Oh yeah, I want to scale this up just a tad as well. Oh wait, where did my big domain go? Did I hide it? Option H? Oh. I'm missing my, oh, there it is. Okay. Okay, I see it now. It's just small and then it scales up. Cool. Oh. You gotta be careful about this when you have the smoke on, because it has to basically cache every frame you jump to. So once you turn the quality of your smoke up on the domain, you'll get this this lagginess if you try and cache in a frame, because we'll sit here and try and bake a version of that frame for the viewport, and it just takes a long time. So be careful about that, and I'm going to turn off the high resolution smoke until I'm ready to bake again. Alright, so that quit lagging out, and I'm just going to turn the high resolution smoke off. Right here you can just click show high resolution. Just uncheck that, and you should have much better viewport display. Perfect. Now, yeah, these particles here. First off, I'm going to turn the divisions down a lot too, while I'm just playing around with this a little bit. I have too many pieces of debris, I think. So I'm going to turn down the number down to like 16. And then also, I think it's shooting off a little too fast. The explosion is a little bit bigger and more massive. Takes a little longer. This debris is kind of shooting off a little fast, I think. And I may have made it a little too big. So I'm going to make it smaller. I'm going to turn the mass of it down a little bit. And I'm going to make it, well, that might do it. Turn the emitter down a little bit. Both of them, just a 3 and a 4 or something. We'll see what that looks like. So, play that. Oh, the smoke is being slow. That's no good. Let me try hiding the smoke. See if that helps. Oop, what happened? There we go. Which one? This is the mushroom cloud. We can hide that. This is debris. And oh, can't grab that other one. Hello. Oh, can I grab you? Let me just grab it up here. Icosphere. Hide you too. Huh. It is hidden. Okay. Which one is that? I have 3 acres. Oh, that's a mushroom cloud. No. Weird. Let me see if I play this. Boom. Okay, that's acting a little weird. Let me just grab my debris for now. I'm gonna move it to a separate layer to work on it, like so. Now we'll get this nice and worked out. So boom. That's not too bad. It's coming up to about here, and where's my domain go up to? Ooh, it's a little bit underpowered, I'd say. Turn my emitter geometry back up. Go to 6. Boom. Boom. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Maybe give it a little more randomness here. I didn't give it any random before. I like that. Alright, so we can go with that. I'll just move it back to this layer. Just don't forget to do that. And let me think. Am I missing anything? I think that's it. Pretty sure that's it. I think I'm ready to bake it again. This time it should be quite a bit faster, but I'm just going to go to, 100 divisions, or 100 divisions, and then 2 in the high resolution. Alright, so turn show high resolution back on, and I'm just going to save and render. Or bake, I should say. I keep saying render. Bake. Here we go. And bacon. Bacon. Oh, right. And that bake finished, and let's check. It doesn't look too bad. I'm pretty happy with this explosion. It looks a little different, but that's good, because every explosion should look different and unique and cool. And this is pretty good, actually. I'm pretty happy with this. Not bad. The resolution could be better, but this only took about 30 minutes or so to bake. And like on my final result, I think I baked all night long just to get a really nice result. But this will be good for the tutorial. So good bake. Bake is done, and bake will be workable. Now, on to the materials. Okay, so we'll switch over to cycles, render, because we're doing this in cycles. And before we start rendering, I'm going to turn off the view, or the emitters, basically. I don't want the emitters to render. So on my particle systems, I'll just uncheck render emitter there. On that one, and the other one in there. I have 3 of them. Where is the third one? We just, it's hidden here. Boom. Visible. Select that one. Oh, this one. Oh man, I can't find it. Or the mushroom one, yeah. Oh, mushroom's invisible too. Unhide you. Okay. Now we don't want the mushroom, object here to render. So up here in our outliner, we can turn off the render for that. And I think that might be it. I think I might actually have, let me go Z for wireframe. Ooh, yeah, my debris. I want to turn off. No? This one. Can't select that for some reason. Oh, there we go. And turn off emitter. Okay. That's all we gotta do. Now those won't render when we render. So, for the materials on this explosion, fireball, I'm going to be borrowing a technique that Jonathan Lampel used. Basically, it's going to be pretty much the default way that you'll render in cycles, smoke. In the future, although it is likely to get improved a bit. But the method is right now as follows. So let's just switch over to our node editor here. That's good. And on our domain object, we'll give it a new material. So I'm just going to go materials here, click use nodes, and there we go. We got a material over here. That's perfect. Now I don't want a diffuse material, so I'm just going to delete that straight up. Let's give ourselves a little more room here. And okay, that should be good. So let's start in by adding our 2 volume shaders. We got a volume scatter, and we have a volume absorption. All right, so we got both those nodes there. We're just going to add them together with an add shader. So throw an add shader in there and connect those 2 up. That's good. We'll just connect that to the volume for now. Okay, now we're going to be adding the, we're going to be setting this to use the smoke density on the mesh. So to do this at the moment, it is, I'm using Blender 2.71, if you were wondering. It is adding in a attribute node and just typing in density. There we go. And the factor of this is going to be the density of both these. So now, if let me just, it should be good. If I go rendered, we should see, yes, we got some smoke rendering. Okay, it looks bad right now, but we got smoke rendering. So that is cool. Now, that's just the basic smoke with no adjustments made. Now I'm going to do the same for the flame, the fire. So I'm going to do another add shader for this. Go shader, right here, and add shader. Stick it in here, all right, and add in one more shader, an emission shader. And stick this one in the bottom. Now you can see that just goes totally white. So what I'm going to do is, for the strength of it, I'm going to duplicate this attribute node, name this one flame, all right, and then the factor of this will now be the strength, and this will, yes, give us that emission fire inside like we want. So that's working great. Now, there's no color though, no color to the smoke. So let's fix that up with a color ramp. So I'm just going to go vector color ramp. And this color will control the color of the emission here. Perfect. So I'm just going to kind of make a flame now to kind of replicate what a flame would be in my color ramp node here. So I'm just going to hit Control, click in a node right there, and let's go kind of a bright yellow. You see this changes over here. Let's give a little bit more white in there. By pulling this white up, you can give more white in your material. So a little brighter yellow would be good, I think. Nice, bright yellow. Maybe give it a little bit more. And I don't know, do I want to connect this color up? I'm feeling like I might want to. Yeah, we'll just do that. I don't know if that makes a difference or not. But let's add in another one now. Hit Control and left click. This one will be a little bit more of a hot color. Yeah, you can see that's working brilliant. Too hot though, too hot. A little brighter and a little bit, yeah. Something like that isn't terrible. It's not looking great yet. And then, yeah, we can go out at black, I think. But the black just gives it a little bit more punch, I think. But let's give it a little bit more white. So kind of slide these back, and you can see you get the heat coming in there. That's looking good. I'm not real happy with my color red. Maybe just get it a little bit darker. Contrast. Ooh, yeah. That's looking pretty sweet. Yeah. All right. So that's not bad for the emission. We might come back to tweak that, but it will last for now. I'm happy with that. So we kind of got our flame here. Not too bad. Now, that's basically the bare bones of it. But now there's ways to basically control it a little bit better. Give it a little bit more punch and density and stuff, such like that. So to do this, I'm going to Shift A, start by adding a math node. Don't use these very often, but I probably should use them more often. And I'm going to switch it to multiply. Here we go. Multiply. Now this bottom value will basically be like the, I believe it's like the density of your flame. So if I make this like a 3, of your smoke, I should say, you see it gets a lot more dense. And if I lower it, it gets less dense. So that's very nice and handy. Just leaving it at 1 for now. I'm going to Shift A, add in a color and a brightness contrast. Pop that in there. Now adjusting the contrast will also give us some nice looking effects, like adjusting the scattering, I believe it is, or not quite sure, but let me just show you guys what you get when you adjust this. See, it becomes a little bit softer, and if I go down to like a 0, it gets less soft. So that is another node that I'm putting in there. So I can also take this and put this into the volume. Well, actually, I'm better off duplicating them. So I'm just going to take both these nodes now, Shift D, and pop them down in here. You and you. There we go. Alright, so we don't actually need to duplicate these. I was just looking over my original starter file, and I did not duplicate these. So I don't have to do that. I can just take this one, plug it down to the density here, and we'll get the same result. So, that is cool. And, yeah, according to Jonathan Lampel, this contrast kind of adjusts the scale of the flame. So, that is why I did that. I'm just kind of following his material setup. So thank you, Jonathan Lampel, for your tutorial on that. And I'm going to also duplicate these two nodes to the strength factor of the flame. So I'm just going to hit Shift D, drag those down here, pop that in here. Oh, this factor should go like that as well. I don't know if it makes a difference, but we'll just do it. And pop this in there. There we go. So now we have some more control over our flame, and that is basically the node setup there, guys. Pretty simple. And I'm also going to do what Jonathan Lampel did to just make these materials more simple. I'm going to make it a group by just hitting B, selecting, hold up, all these nodes here, not the material output, but everything else. Go Control G. And now if I just hit Tab on this node group, you can see we get this pop-up screen in our node editor with all of our nodes in it, going out to a group output, and we have a group input with nothing selected yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that group input and first stick it into the contrast node on my flame. Alright, and you see it pops in as contrast there. Now if I tab out of here, this is now an option that I can adjust on our node group without having to go into it. All nice and simple and clean, and this will adjust the smoke scale. So I'm going to do that for a few of my options in here, just dragging this bottom blink output into the inputs I want. This is going to be my smoke density. Why don't I start naming these? To do this, you just hit N, bring up your tab here, and type in the name. This will be smoke scale. There we go. This one can be smoke density. Density. There we go. Very cool. And I have these two down here as well, the flame density or scale and the flame density. So same here, flame density, whoops, missed the Y. And, well, that was actually flame scale. This is flame density. There we go. And this one is flame scale. Alright, so that's good. You could also do these two options if you want to adjust the color and the volume absorption and scatter. I don't think I'm going to be changing those settings though for my explosion, so I'm not going to bother. But now if I tab out, we have all of our options here in a nice, clean node. Very nice. And it's possible that in the future, Blender will come with kind of a smoke node. But this is kind of fun, building your own node and having all the control over the nodes. So, very cool. I'm using Blender 2.71 if you were wondering. I don't know if I've mentioned that or not. Alright, so I'm going to go rendered. Here we go. And it's looking a little soft to me. It needs a little bit more punch. So I'm going to turn up the smoke density to like a 3, and the flame density to like a 2. And we'll see what that looks like. Ooh, yes. Yes. You see how it gives it like that almost contrast? Yeah, it looks so good. Really good. Alright, that's looking pretty sweet. So I'm going to, let me just solid view. I'm going to set my camera up on this. Just right click on your camera, and then wherever in your can't talk right now. And then in your viewport, just go Alt Control 0, and it'll snap your camera right to your spots. So pull it back a little bit, like so. Grab it down. You know what? I'm going to actually adjust the focal length of my camera. So pull it way back, click on your camera, and you can change the focal length. To be more realistic, you'd probably be a distance away from the explosion, zoomed in. So I'm going to move my camera way out, and then change the focal length to be more like 120. There we go. That's pretty cool looking. Rotate it along the Y-axis. Kind of tip it up. Yeah. Gorgeous. So I'm going to render this out. I'll just do a 720p. So there we go, and there we go. And I'll jump back with you guys when it is done. So just have 1280, 720 sampling. I think I'll just render 100 samples. It's a little bit slow right now. You can only use CPU and not GPU, but that should be okay. I'm just gonna go 100 samples and save and render. Alright, so I stopped the render partway through for a few reasons. One, I missed a setting, and two, I want to make a few changes. First of all, it's taking a long time to render, so I'm going to fix some things. So first off, I want to render with a transparent background. So that way I can save it out with an alpha and put it over some live footage or something if I wanted to. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to turn the samples down to 50 so it will render faster. And then also in the performance setting, I'm going to go down to 16 by 16 for my tile size, because that works fastest with a CPU. Now, before I render again, it's lacking a little something. It's good, but it could be a little bit better. So I'm going to try changing some of my other settings here and seeing what I get. So it's not looking bad, but it's not as good as it could be. So turn this flame density up a little bit more, just to get a little more heat in there. That's cool. Now, let me try changing like the flame scale. Let me see what I get with this. Like a 3. Ooh, that's kind of weird, actually. What if I went a negative number? Ooh. Whew. Get some interesting results with that. Quite interesting. Maybe I'll go just a little bit of that. Okay, and what about the smoke scale? Change that up a little bit. Ooh, that looks softer. Oh, you don't want to do that. Okay, let's just leave that at 0. Alright, so with the flame scale, or density, going up a little bit, that's looking best, if you ask me. So yeah. Alright, I got the flame density and smoke density. Okay, I just double checking that I connected those right. That's looking good. That's looking awesome. I haven't textured the rubble yet, and that's just because I'm not going to bother doing that in this tutorial. But I am going to render this out. Oh, I want to quick change my flame a little bit. Something about it is irritating me. Let's just kind of get a little bit... Oh, this orange is what's irritating me, I think. Let's get a little darker. Black. Ooh. Yeah. Alright, I think I'm going to like that. Alright. Enough with the alright. Let's just go with the render now. So, this time I'm going to render all the way through, and we'll have our final result. So, without further ado, let's just open this up a little bit, and render. Alright, this is rendering, but I see some ickiness going on real quick that I want to fix. And that's this green look. And I think that's coming in from the smoke scale that I changed here, the flame scale. I'm not quite sure on how the flame scale settings work. I'm not going to change them, just leave them as default for now. But I'm just going to turn that off because I wasn't real happy with the way that was looking. So that's off. And back to rendering. Beep beep. And there we go. Finished explosion. Now, I still have some of that green in there. And I believe it's because I turned the density too high over here. And not because of the flame scale. I could put that back. And I could render that again. But it's not going to look a whole lot different. So, excuse me. Now, if you go to the compositor, you can do some color correcting if you so desire. Let me just turn backdrop on and Control-Shift-Click here to add a viewer node in. You can do some compositing and whatnot on this. I might not bother with that and just go to my, here, where was it? Here, my, whichever tab this is, scene tab? I see, oh no, just a tab. This tab here, and change the color management. I might go like an RTT, and that gives me some darker blacks, so then I'd expose it up a little more. You know, there's just a few options that you can do to get some cool, you don't want to go over the top, but just a little bit cool results, you know? You could do that, don't have to. Ooh, that's kind of good. Turn the gamma up. Nah, just turn the exposure down a little bit. Yeah. So there you go, guys. That is my explosion in Blender. The quality, you know, would look a lot better, obviously, if I baked it overnight at a high quality. But that's not too bad for this tutorial. Hope you guys learned something. Like I said, that green is from the density being just a little too high, but it kind of looks like fuel or something. So that's gonna be it from me. I'm planning a follow-up tutorial on this, on combining explosion with live footage in the near future. But yeah, that's gonna do it, guys. So check back for more videos. And I'll see you guys in my next CG Geek video. So hold tight and see you later. Bye-bye.